Welcome, everyone, to Global Purpose Speaks. I'm your host, Taz Rashid, and I'm a musician who travels to mindful festivals and events all throughout the world. And one of my passions is to have conversations with transformational leaders, learn about their unique missions and how they're changing the world. This talk series is created in partnership with Global Purpose Movement, which is a collective of change makers convening and co-creating in our Earth's current shift towards a world that's working for everyone. And today we're speaking with Peggy Malecki, who is the publisher of Natural Awakenings Chicago magazine. And 2017 marks the 7th year that Peggy has been publishing a Natural Awakenings Chicago magazine. And it's an independent monthly publication focusing on living a healthier, more sustainable lifestyle. Living green is very important to Peggy, and she's always striving to incorporate sustainable habits into her everyday life, teach others to do the same. And prior business incarnations, Peggy specialized in marketing, technical and process documentation, training, development and delivery, and product and project management. She's also developed website content, penned newsletters, chaired national sailing regattas, and publishing a sailing magazine. An avid sailor, Peggy was the first and only woman Commodore and board president of the North Shore Yacht Club and served as the Lakefront Commissioner with the city of Highland Park, Illinois. Peggy, welcome. How are you?
Great. Thanks, Taz. Thanks for that wonderful. Now I have to live up to that.
Well, that's pretty inspiring. And, I'd love to start chatting about the Natural Awakenings magazine. I've been familiar with this magazine myself since like 2010 when I started getting more into this like community. Can you tell us like what because of the line of work that you come from, like what inspired you to start Natural Awakenings Chicago magazine?
Well, as you mentioned, just living a greener, more sustainable lifestyle has kind of been the way I was raised ever since I was a little kid. I was following my mom or my grandparents doing gardening, being outside, recycling, doing compost. That's just the way I grew up, be it in the city or be it with my grandparents up in Antioch when it was still a small town. And just something that I've always liked doing. Business-wise, I'm a journalism major, and I went corporate rather than going and working at a daily paper. Although I always said if I could get a job in magazine and I could get a job in radio, that would be really cool.
Hey, now you're doing both.
Yeah, but I went corporate and worked as a tech writer, a technical trainer, a training developer. I got into marketing communications, and really on the business side, used my writing skills. And really, as a tech writer, you had to learn how to connect with people and have them figure out complex machinery or complex software so that they could follow it. So I'm really good at distilling information and passing it along. Well, corporate America was done with me and 3,000 other people back in 2002. Here, get out. Here's your severance. Goodbye.
Wow.
At that point, I had gone and worked at some smaller companies, got a lot of experience, and got laid off from 2 more when the economy died. I said, that's it. I'm done working for other people. What are some options? And I had discovered this magazine called Natural Awakenings in about 2006 in Saugatuck, Michigan. I looked at it. And I said, wow, this is really cool. Why don't we have something like this in Chicago?
Yeah.
At the time, we had Conscious Choice, which was great, but it was a very city-focused magazine and slightly different. And I called them Natural Awakenings, which is based in Naples, Florida. And they said, oh, sorry, we can't do business in Illinois right now. Okay, fine. Fast forward to 2009 when the company I was working for was also going out of business. A matter of when, not if.
Wow.
And I said, all right, I'm done with this type of thing. Saw Natural Awakenings again in Saugatuck. Called them and they said, yes, we can do business. It's a franchise model. We can do business in Illinois. You're the first person who's called us. We'd love to talk with you. We got on a plane, headed to Florida, met with them. They were the most wonderful people. You talk to someone on the phone and you think, oh, they can't be as nice as that. No, they are.
Wow.
Sharon Bruckman's the owner of the company. She's just totally passionate. Everybody who works with them. And it's like, okay, I have to publish this magazine. I have to bring this to Chicago. By this point, it was Mindful Metropolis was the magazine. Conscious Choice had closed. Mindful, again, was a city publication. I wanted to bridge that gap between suburbs and city and bring in more environment, bring in more conscious living, bring in more everything else, because that was my own personal
Yeah.
lifestyle. And as you mentioned, having a background of publishing, doing a sailing magazine, doing websites, doing everything else, I already understood the nuts and bolts
Yeah.
of how to
Yeah,
do that.
that's wonderful. And 7 years, that's I mean, congratulations. That's amazing, first of all,
Thank
because
you.
running a magazine, I'm sure, is not easy. There's so much going on. It's every month. You're like, you got to put it out. It's a
Mhm,
lot of work.
mhm.
So over the 7 years of, that you've been publishing this, what are, I guess, from your viewpoint, what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in like just the Chicago mindful community? Like what are the biggest, shifts that you can talk about?
I think there's always going to be a core group. There's always people who have been tuned in. But as the political climate has changed, as the actual climate has changed, it might be as a lot of people have aged and have had time now to
Hmm.
focus on themselves, that there's just a bigger and bigger interest in being aware of what's going on, be it from more of a spiritual consciousness to picking up a yoga practice or some other physical practice, or focusing on the environment. And where does everything fit in? What about social justice issues? What about environmental justice? We hear about a city like Flint or East Chicago,
Yeah.
where the people who don't have a lot of money in their community are all having lead in their water, or they're having other issues. And it's like there's more and more of an awareness and people seeming to want to do something about it.
Yeah. I mean, from the topics you're mentioning, like right now, I guess 2017, what would you say, like, what are the hottest topics right now? Because, you said like how things have shifted. Like, what do people really want to know about now? Is it more just like personal work or like the social justice element? Like,
I think it's both. I think it's personal work. And this is not a political statement. It's
yeah.
just there's so much conflict and turmoil, no matter where you are in the spectrum, or if you're not even paying attention to politics. It's like,
Hmm.
how do I deal with all of this? How do I handle my daily life? But then there's all this constant fear. How do I balance that fear out in my life?
Mm.
And that could be by picking up a sign and going and marching for science or marching for climate. It could be doing the internal work,
Yeah.
doing the internal work with family members, or saying, gee, my teenagers, there's got to be another way to help them besides just going to the psychiatrist. Let me look at some of the more natural ways, some of the
Natural ways, yeah.
non-natural ways.
The
Yeah.
holistic ways, things like that. As far as like I always wonder like how magazines are surviving with everything going digital and everything people are on iPads. Like, has that affected your business in a big way, or like what's your kind of take on the magazine industry in general right now? Like, are you feeling that, like, where is it going towards right now?
Well, the studies that have come out actually indicate what has been either called, quote, niche publications,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on anything from spiritual growth to healthy living to knitting or cooking. Those magazines people still want to have. It's also could be called editorial rich or editorial magazines,
Okay.
where people actually pick it up. There's a recipe, something they're going to read with coffee. People like having, I have my own prop.
Nice.
People like having the hard copy here where they can circle things and etc. We have a digital version. It's on the phone. It's on our website. It gets a lot of attention every month. But from all the events I go to, it's the paper copy that people
Mm.
really like. And when I talk to other, be it Edible Magazine in Chicago, be it Conscious Community, Yoga Chicago, for what's happening in my community, I think this is still the paper-based, what they want. If it's the New York Times, the Washington Post, no, I want to just get it on my phone. I want the alerts now. I'll take it from there.
I got
I
you.
do have a digital version. People can still sit and read the
Yeah.
digital version. We're going to be making a lot of changes in the coming year to make the digital versions even more friendly, but I don't see paper going away at all.
And for magazines like this, just from a business standpoint, like, is it still like is the business model shifting as well as it's becoming more technologically, it's evolving? Like, is it still like similar, like sponsors and ads that's like running the whole? Is there other models that are coming into play here? Or is that still like the basis for everything?
I think, again, part of why it does stay successful is it's free.
Mm.
And so the free requires advertising.
Yeah.
One of the other magazines that's been really successful, but it's kind of its own animal, is Yes Magazine. So Yes has no ads.
Wow.
And that, yes, works entirely off subscription and underwriters and people who believe in what they're doing, who believe in the very strong message. It does tend to be
Yeah, what's the subject? What's the...
There's different things. It'll focus on food, the food economy. It'll focus on social justice. It'll focus on, there could be a whole issue on renewable energy. It's whatever they do. It definitely has a progressive stand to it. And I'm sure there's several others out there, but they've really taken that model and been successful. But that's rare because they have money coming from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta get it. You have to pay for things. So like, how's it gonna work?
So for the rest of us,
yeah,
it's advertising. Advertising is what covers it, and advertising. This is my business, and for the other 90 Natural Awakenings publishers across the country, this is our business.
Yeah.
And it needs to be something that we're able to make a fair living on. And I have 20 plus contract people who work for me that depend on me paying them every month too. Be great if somebody were able to be a silent partner. I just haven't found that person yet.
Absolutely.
Hello out there. Hint, hint.
I've put ads in your magazine throughout the years, and a lot of the partners who I work with. So I know like how powerful it is because it can reach thousands and thousands of people. That's the power of getting the message in magazines such as yours. I wanted to actually chat a little bit about the radio show that I just found out. I had no idea that you were part of a radio show. That's so exciting. And I know Mike Novak because I've seen him at a few different events in the past few years. Can you tell us a little bit about this radio show and what you guys are talking about on there and how people find out about that?
Right. So I have been thrilled to be a co-host with Mike Novak for the last year on the Mike Novak Show.
And who is Mike Novak? Just for viewers that
Mike's
don't know.
been in Chicago radio for about 20 years. He started with WGN, and then he ran a couple of very successful gardening shows on WGN. So I started with Mike last April on the show out of Q4, and we've now moved as of January this year to WCGO in Evanston, 1590 AM. We are on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. and starting this coming Sunday mornings from 9 to 11. And we cover gardening, green living, the environment with a lot of humor and a lot of very interesting guests. Meteorologist Rick DeMaio joins us every week to talk climate and the weather. We cover everything from local gardens, urban agriculture, the local food scene, to Southeast Environmental Task Force and Petcoke issues, garden authors. We had Craig LaHoulier, who wrote the book Epic Tomatoes on 2 weeks ago, talking about planning your tomato garden for the year. We've had Lisa Hilgenberg on recently from Chicago Botanic Gardens. We recently had another author on talking about aluminum, everything having to do with that. So we kind of try and dig down deep and don't just cover. Alderman John Arena was on talking about making Chicago a fossil fuel free city.
That's exciting.
For investments.
And that's on the station?
It's on 1590 AM WCGO. Okay. You can get it on the TuneIn app on your phone or tablet. Cool. You can live stream from 1590wcgo.com, or all the podcasts are up every week too.
Okay, wonderful. And what about your magazine? Just like, what's the best way to, where to find it? What's the best way to, get it online? Things like that.
So the magazine, we print about 35,000 copies every month.
Wow.
And those are distributed in approximately 1,100 locations throughout the city of Chicago.
That's amazing.
Suburban, Cook, Lake, and McHenry counties. Most Whole Foods have it, except for the really new ones. And we're slowly getting street boxes outside of those, because Whole Foods has said in the new stores we don't have room for anybody's magazines.
Oh, wow. So
putting street boxes in there. We're in chiropractors, dental doctor offices, city parks in many cases, in the field houses. We're in public libraries, coffee shops, restaurants. Pick a place you'd expect to find a free magazine: a yoga studio, a gym.
Yeah.
We're also freestanding street boxes in the city, as well as when you're in the loop and you've got those big city boxes.
Yeah.
We're in those too.
That's amazing. So if you're
get
in
them
Chicago,
online.
Yeah.
If you go to nachicago.com, you can download the digital version too.
Okay. So so anyone that's watching this from Chicago, if you're interested, definitely reach out to Peggy. And if you're not in Chicago, a lot of the cities, there may be Natural Awakenings magazines. Reach out to them and, get an ad in there if you have an event or something.
Or traveling events. A lot of traveling events will contact us to place ads. speakers coming, a marathon's coming, some fundraiser, and I can also help place in any of the other Natural Awakenings.
Yeah.
Other ones in the Midwest. There's a West Suburban Chicago one that's a different publisher.
And it's cool because you have like an online presence, so you do some promotion through that, channel as well. That's really great.
And social media.
Yeah, Peggy, this is awesome. I really want to thank you for your time and being here and sharing about what you're doing, and super exciting. And thank you everyone for joining another episode of Global Purpose Speaks. I'm your host, Taz Rashid, and this talk series is created in partnership with Global Purpose Movement, which is a collective of change makers convening and co-creating in a globe's current shift towards a world that's working for everyone. And you can join the conversation at globalpurposemovement.com. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you, Taz.
Yeah.